All right, I'm gonna start this little series going over each section. Options UI. This is all basic stuff here. Container glow. So that's when you're on layout, it'll show you a glow around the container, so you can see which container it is. This applies to custom bars as well. So when you're on custom bars, it'll show you which one you're editing. Same thing in layout. It'll show you which one you're editing. If you turn that off, it'll turn off the glow. Cooldown only mode. What this does is if there's, so like let's say I have takedown, that also applies an aura to me or a buff. With cooldown only mode, it'll start showing the cooldown right away. If I were to turn that off and then use takedown, it's going to show me the duration before it starts showing me the cooldown. Once the duration's over, then it starts showing the cooldown. So if you want to see the duration for anything and you don't mind waiting to see the cooldown, then turn that off. Just saying from the outset, there is an override for ability settings. So you can show aura duration. So you can pick exactly what abilities you want the aura duration to show on. And you can just have this on by default. Hide tooltips just hides the tooltips, so they don't show when you mouse over. Slug rendering just makes the text look better in a lot of people's opinions. Clean icons, it'll, you mouse over anything, it's going to tell you exactly what it does, but clean icons just removes the rounded edges and the shadows and all the stuff that's on the Blizzard CDM. So if you see I turn it off, it gets these shadows around the icons and it rounds the edges off. If I turn it off and on, you can see what it's doing. Assisted highlight, that's if you want to use Blizzard assisted highlight, you have to turn that on, but you also have to turn it on in the Blizzard options. Opacity, that's pretty self-explanatory. Visibility, you can choose to hide it. And then cooldown numbers, this is, you can change if something has like 5 seconds left. That's where I have it set. It'll change the countdown text color from white to red, or you can pick whatever color you want. You can change it to 10 seconds if you want. And that's the general section. All right, next up is the layout. I switched to my DK. I don't feel like messing up my main CDM and having to redo it. But under layout, this is where you configure the Blizzard containers. So you got essential, utility, auras, bars. And then I have cursor. That's not a Blizzard one, that's one I added. So under layout, it gives you a preview for everything. And as you adjust things, so your icons per row will adjust your icons per row. Columns will do columns. The alignment, there's center, left, none, and right. If you set it to none, that means it's not going to justify left to right or center, which means in your container, you'll be able to place abilities. You'll be able to have a space in between. So you could put an ability here, 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 and here, and these two will be empty. You can change the grow direction so it grows up instead of down. You can change the icon, so width, height, spacing, zoom, and border size. And as you change it, it's going to change up here, but you can also watch it change on the screen. So you can adjust this however you want. Charge count text, that's just for your charge count. And again, it just, as you adjust it, it's going to adjust the preview. So you can see exactly how it's going to look like on the screen. Cooldown text, it's just your cooldown text. Keybind text, you can turn that on and off. Show keybind text. That's going to be the same for utility and essential. And the other thing is ignore global opacity. So under general, these are your global opacity settings. So if I were to put out of combat to 0, it means when I'm not in combat, it's going to not show my CDM. This will ignore that setting. So if I want it to show my essential, I can have it just show my essential. If I want it to show my auras, it'll do that. It'll just ignore any of the settings from here. And the options UI also, as you've seen, it also ignores that setting. So when it's open, you can see it. That applies to basically every module is going to have those settings. So any ability bars, any duration bars, you can ignore global. So auras going to be the same thing. You can change all this however you want it to look. Same thing for center, left, none, and right. Row direction, icons, cooldown text, or a stack count. Bars, you're going to see your bars over here. And as you change things, it's going to update the preview. You can have max bars, and anything you change in here is also going to update here in the actual containers. So let's say I change bars to show a max of 10. Now when I go here, I have 10. And you can change bar height, bar width, bar spacing, row direction, if you want it to grow up or down, the texture, color, label text. You can adjust this. The stack font size, the offsets, and the duration text. Cursors for your cursor. This one you have show only in combat and hide abilities on cooldown. So if you have hide abilities on cooldown on, when you use an ability, everything's going to collapse towards your pointer and then come back when it becomes off cooldown again. You can enable the GCD swipe for any of these. They have standard, which is the Blizzard standard, and then reveal. Reveal will reveal the icon as it comes off cooldown or the GCD swipe. So anything that's past the GCD or the cooldown is just going to be black, and the icon gets revealed as the swipe goes around. You can darken on cooldown. When darken on cooldown, it's going to show the rest of the icon as a grayscale, and blacked out on cooldown will black out the whole icon and just show you the cooldown text. I have it on reveal, and let's say I want blacked out on cooldown. So as I use abilities, you can see that it's black. And if I use a cooldown, it's completely blacked out. And it'll stay blacked out until it's ready to use. Whereas if I do darken on cooldown, it's going to just darken it. Cursor gets all the same settings, and it updates in real time for the preview. And then the anchor, so the cursor anchor here, it also updates. So if you put it on the left, it'll be on the left. And then you can adjust it. So if like you use a cursor ring, you're probably going to need to adjust it out so it's not overlapping your cursor ring. You can have it below, or you can have it above. And yeah, so that's the layout section. All right, next up, we're going to go over the CDM containers. This is where you actually place your abilities. So after you've set up your layout how you want, you can come in CDM containers. Middle mouse click will remove abilities from the bar. So as I remove them from the bar, they get removed. Right click will open a options menu. So you can add as conditional or add to bar that way. If you left click, it just adds it to the bar. You can drag to reorder. Custom entries or anything that you added from your custom entries. So you can drop anything here from your ability, your spellbook, or your bag. So if you want something from your bags, just drop it in, it gets added. Same thing. You can add it to your bar. Then it shows up. Middle mouse click removes. And this is going to be the same for essential utility. Auras. Auras are going to show you two different sections. So it's going to show you what in each section. So right now I have death and decay in my track bars. So it shows me that I have death and decay in the track bars. Anything I have in the track buff section is going to show in the track buffs. I have these question mark icons that you can hover over, and they give you a description. So basically anything that you want to track in your auras has to be in the track buff section of the CDM. Anything in bars has to be in track bars. For duration bars, they also have to be in the track bars section, or else they're not going to work. And that's the same for auras and bars. So they switch. So on auras, it's going to show you the track bars on the bottom and the track buffs on top. For bars, it's going to show you track buffs on the bottom. And if I were to move, say I were to move this into there, now it's going to show up under track bars. This way you know anything here you can add and it's going to work. If you add anything from here to the bar layout, it's not going to work until you move it to Blizzard's track bars. It'll let you add it, but it's not going to work until you add it to the track bars. Cursor, this is just where you add items to your cursor. And then it's going to anchor it to your cursor, as you see. You can add custom items to here too, and you can also add conditionals. Now I'm going to quickly go over conditionals. Alright, a conditional is basically meant for abilities that you can learn but don't currently know. So if you uncheck show known only, it's going to show you things that you currently don't know. So these are things that you could learn. So like Death Pact. So I have Death Pact added, right? But I don't know it. Let's say I remove this. So let's say I want to add a conditional. I can either do it from something I currently know, or I can do it from something I currently don't know if I uncheck show known only. So I can right click and I can add it as a conditional. Anything as a conditional gets added to the conditional tab. Now what I can do is I can move this conditional into the bar wherever I want it to display, and it's going to show you the red border around it, denoting that it's a conditional ability. As you can see on the screen, it doesn't show Death Pact, but if I were to learn Death Pact, then it's going to automatically show and get put exactly where I put it in the order. So now I know Death Pact, and now it's showing, and it's exactly where I put it, right after Death Glow. And then if I talent back out of it, then it gets removed and everything collapses back. That's conditionals, and so they're meant for things that you might know for one spec but not another, in your AoE, your Mythic Plus versus your single target. And same thing, you can just middle mouse click to remove it. Now another thing is, as you can see, this icon showed up now in my Auras container with an orange border, and it's desaturated. That's because I can't have something tracked. See, Dark Transformation, it can't be tracked in both the track buffs and the track bars. So adding it to one removes it from the other. So if you want something tracked as an aura, it has to be in buffs. If you want something tracked as a bar, it has to be in bars. So when I move this back into buffs, you'll see this icon will go away, because now it's able to track it again. This just means that it's in your not displayed section, or it's not trackable in the category you have it placed in. Now if I were to move something into the actual not displayed, it's going to show in the not displayed section. So this goes for the CDM container for the spells and the buffs. So if I were to go to Essential and move something out, it's going to get its own rail saying that it's in the not displayed section, and it's going to have the hover icon explaining that it's in not displayed and you need to move it into a category. Moving it into a category removes it. And so let's say I remove something that's on my bar. Same thing, orange border, desaturation, and that tells you that it's in the not displayed section. Once you put it back, it comes up again. It's agnostic, so as far as unlike buffs, spells doesn't care whether it's in essential or utility. So you can put it in one or the other and it's not gonna care. So for auras, I'll go over the settings later. But auras just shows up there. For bars, I'm gonna have to add something to the bar to track it. All right, so let's say I want to track anti-magic shells duration as a bar. I'd move it to the bars. I click it. Now it's in there. Blizzard's track bars will show up when the CDM is open. Once you close it, it goes away. But let's say I want to track that as a bar. Now it shows up and tracks it as the Blizzard bar. If you were not to have this in here, it wouldn't show up. The bar will show up, but it won't be tracking anything because it has to be in the track bar section. And yeah, I think that's about it for the CDM container section. All right, next up, gonna go over ability settings. This applies to essential utility ores, custom and cursor, and you can also change assisted, how it looks. Custom is for custom bars. This controls the visibility, glow, overlay, text, and sound. For ores, you have visibility, glow, overlay, text, and sound, same thing. Cursor gets visibility, glow, and sound. When you click on it, you have visibility, so when an icon or when an ability is ready, you can have it the alpha be 0. I don't know why you'd want to do that. On cooldown, you can have it hide. Show or duration. This is what I was talking about. When cooldown only mode is enabled, you can override that individually. So show or duration. So if I want to do that for dark transformation, I could click on show or duration and that'll override global and it'll show the duration before the cooldown. That's useful for if you want to track like warlock dots or bloomy dots or anything with a dot component that you would want to track. Range indicator. This is where you can control the glows. So you have ready glow and you have proc glow. So you can turn on glow when ready, show only combat. If it's a charge ability, you can have it glow with any charges available. So for putrefy, I could have it glow only in combat, and if I have any charges, then it'll glow. And change the color for it. The glow type, you can change the offset if you want it to be a little more inset. Anytime you adjust a setting for proc or glow, it's going to automatically switch between them. So if I'm on ready glow and I start changing anything here, it's going to switch to proc to show me the proc glow. There's another setting for proc glow to only show when it's off cooldown. So if you don't want it to be glowing when you can't even use the ability, when it procs, you can turn this on and it'll hide the glow until the ability is actually ready to be used. You can manually switch back and forth. Overlay, this is for proc, so if you get a proc, you can set up an overlay for it. So you enable overlay. Same thing, you can do it only when off cooldown. Choose the overlay. You can do Blizzard alerts, which has all the Blizzard ones. If you have the weak ore shared media, it'll pull all those. If you have meek ores installed, it'll pull those. So let's say you want to just use a Blizzard alert. Let's just say you want to grab this one. You can change the scale, adjust it however you want. And by default, it's only showing one-sided. If you click on mirror overlay, it's going to add a mirror, and then you can adjust the offset for it. So if you wanted it to show on both sides of your characters, you can do that. You can change the blend mode, change the color if you wanted it a different color. And the unlock frame is where you can adjust it. If you get a proc on that ability, it's going to show the overlay. Text is, you can show text when it's ready. And then you can say transformation ready, right? Then when it's ready to use, you'll get the text warning. You can have it also only show in combat. and it has all the settings for it. Or you can have it when it's on cooldown, it'll show a text sound. You can have it play a sound when it's ready, and you can have it play a sound when it procs. There's also text to speech. So if you want to use text to speech when something's ready, just enable ready announcement. By default, it's going to say the spell name, and then you can have a slider to adjust the volume, test the voice.
Putrefy.
You can adjust how fast or slow it says it.
Putrefy. Putrefy.
Or you can have your own custom sound for it. That's going to be the same for Central Utility, Custom, Cursor. And anytime that's something been edited, it's going to say edited. And it's also going to put your UI color bar underneath it, denoting that something's been edited for that. For auras, same thing. If you don't want the aura showing up at all times, just if it's on, it'll just show all the time. So you can just change aura missing to 0. Then it'll hide it until it's available. And then you can set it to show. You can hide cooldown text, only show when you have a target. You can set glows for this as well, for active or missing. Overlay, you can set an overlay for when an aura is active or missing. So if you're missing a debuff, let's say you want to track a debuff and it's missing, you can set an overlay that when you're targeting something that doesn't have that debuff, it'll pop up an overlay on the screen. Same thing with text. You can do missing text. So let's say, as my hunter, I do hunter's mark. So when a target's missing hunter's mark, I have it set to say hunter's mark missing. And then it goes away once I mark the target. So that's what text does. Sound, same thing. You can have an active sound and a missing sound with text to speech. And it's going to be the same for this one does not get overlay, but it does get, and it doesn't get text, but it does get visibility, glow, and sound. And that's about it for ability settings. Next up is custom bars. So that's the general page for it. This is where you can show or hide the bars individually. It also has the ignore opacity settings for each bar if you want certain bars to stay visible, regardless of your global opacity settings. Then keybinds, so it'll show your keybinds for that ability. You have hide unavailable entries, and then hide empty slots. This is your entry pool. This is where abilities and items are going to show up once you add them. This is where you add, so you can scan automatically for racials, and it'll add it. You can drag and drop things from your bag to add them. So basically anything you want to drop, you can drag and drop from your spellbook to add things. From the character panel, if you want to add a trinket. Once added, it's all going to be added to the available entries for each bar. Under layouts, this is where you control each bar's layout, and it has the same preview. You click on which bar you want to edit, and you just edit the settings. Has all the same options as the other layout settings for bar 1, 2, and 3. Same thing here, you just click to add, and then it just adds it to the bar. Bar 3 is right here. Another thing you can do is turn off auto align or turn on auto align. When auto align is off, I can add things in any way I want. So now it adds it like that. And then if I turn off hide empty slots, it doesn't compact it. So it just stays like that. Whereas if I turn auto align on, then it's going to automatically shift everything. But yeah, this is a pretty easy one, so that's custom bars. Alright, next up is ability bars. Ability bars you can only drag and drop from your spellbook. So let's say you have something with multiple charges. What do I got? I got 2 charges of death charge, so I could drag and drop that. And it's going to create the bars with 2 charges. Let's say I move putrefy over. It's automatically going to detect that it has 3 charges, and it's going to create 3 bars. If you add something with only 1 use, mind freeze. When I add this, it says cooldown bar. The cooldown bar gets treated a little different than charge bars, and I'll go over that in a second. But with these 3, now I can edit. I can show only in combat. I can make it a conditional, same as the CDM containers, so it only shows when I know the talent. I can have it hide when inactive. I can have it hide the bar when inactive. And I can also make this ignore global. So you can adjust the bars how you want. You can adjust the gap. You adjust the width. You can have an icon with it if you want. You can have the cooldown text on it. And then you can anchor. When I use test charge, it's going to use 1 bar and then slowly start filling. Now let's change the color to be more appropriate for putrefy. Let's decrease the bar width and the height. Let's increase the gap a little. Now these are my putrefy bars. So as I use putrefy, now it's slowly going to refill, so I can use it again. Okay, let's go over the cooldown. What's different about cooldown? It shares all the same stuff. You can show a companion icon. Oh, I guess I didn't go over some things here. For layout, you can have vertical, horizontal stack, and vertical stack. Horizontal just looks horizontal. Vertical, it's going to be vertical side by side. Horizontal stack, going to be horizontal, and they're going to be stacked on top of each other. Vertical stack is going to be vertical, and then they're stacked one on top of the other. Same thing with this. You get vertical, horizontal, vertical. I mean, I guess these aren't necessary because it's just 1 bar. But if you wanted to set it vertical, you could hide the bar when it's inactive. You can show the companion icon, put it below the bar, increase the size, change the color, show cooldown text. Well, let's say I wanted to track that. Now it's tracking the cooldown. You can set it to drain. So now instead of filling up, it's going to move down. So that way you can track any ability. It's cooldown like this if you wanted to see it that way. Then it hides the bar when it's gone or when it's available again. This one also has display styles, so you can do bar style or text style. So under text style, it's going to just pull the name, and then you can just change all these options. That way when I use it, I'm going to get a text, mind freeze on cooldown, and it's going to show how long it's on cooldown. Then once it's up again, the text just goes away. And that's pretty much ability bars. All right, next up, we're going to go over duration bars. So for duration bars, you're going to have show known only. You can turn that off to show anything that you could know. And you can add it, and it's going to add it as a conditional. Now, there's a couple things to know about duration bars. One, anything that you want to track as a duration bar has to be in the track bar section. And it's also going to add it to the SCDM's bars section. Do not remove it from here. It's going to show text that says it's a duration bar. It needs to be in here, and it also needs to be in here. So knowing that, let's go ahead and create one. So let's say I want to track death and decay as a duration bar. I just left click to add it. It creates the duration bar. Now I can change how I want it to look. It has all the same options: show only in combat, hide when inactive, hide bar when inactive, conditional. This hides the bar in the container, so it won't show in two containers at the same time. You can also ignore global opacity. So let's say I want it below the bar. I can desaturate it on cooldown. Increase the size. Let's do 20. Let's do 28, whatever. Icon border, show charge count. So if it has multiple charges, you can show the charge count. Change the offset like that. Show cooldown duration. So that changes the duration, or not changes, but adjust the duration for the bar. You can anchor to bar or icon. You can show ability cooldown text. So this will show you the cooldown of the actual ability. You can adjust that as well. You can change the cooldown text size, color, and then you can pick an anchor, which I'll go over the unlock screen later. So now that I have this added as a duration bar, if I go back to containers, you see it's now been added also automatically to the bar section, and it's going to show you that this is a duration bar, and it's going to give you a warning that removing this bar can stop the duration bar from working. Now when I use the ability, it's going to show me the duration that it's going to last as well as the cooldown. And it even tracks the duration that it lasts afterwards. So now it's grayed out because I have no charges left. Yeah, so anything in here can be added as a duration bar. It also works for totems or anything the game considers a totem. You could add. For shamans, the list is pre-populated for all your totems. That way you don't have to use the ability first for it to auto-populate. For everything else, once it sees it one time, it'll add it to as a totem. Some things Blizzard considers totems for classes. That's why you see Race Abomination, it got listed as a totem. There's some Warlock stuff that gets listed as a totem. And then, anywhere you see an icon, a question mark icon, means that you can hover over it and get information. I actually probably need to update that due to some changes. So, like, let's say you add that, it just gets added as conditional. I think I already went over that. But yeah, that's duration bars. Next up's going to be kind of a quick one. I'm probably going to switch characters just for a special case. But anyway, you got primary and secondary. So you can show resource bar. This, you also have, like I said, I put this everywhere just in case. You can pick and choose what you want to ignore the global opacity. You can turn text on and off. You can abbreviate large numbers. So if you have like a huge mana pool or something like that, you can turn on abbreviate. So it cuts it down. All this is pretty self-explanatory. You just set that up how you want. Secondary. Certain classes will get different options. Like for Death Knight, when I'm in blood, it's going to be red runes. Frost, I'll get blue, and when I'm on unholy, it's green. You can override these if you want. This is for the runic power. You can change that. segment thickness. And let me switch real quick to show you a special case. All right, here I am. Here's the special case. Let me switch this back real quick. Actually, I'll go over this real quick. This is the CDM container. I don't know why I'm going over this now, but I will. You can have it vertical layout. All you do is just change icons per row to 1 and columns. You just increase the column. That's how you do vertical for all of these. Anyway, back to resources. For resources, it now supports vertical text. You can also have vertical text if you want, or horizontal text. The bar, horizontal or vertical. So let me switch these back real quick. Right, sorry about that, it was bugging me. All right, for resources, for the secondary for druids, you can choose what secondary you want to display. So you can change it to mana, energy, rage, or none, or automatic. So if I change it, let's say I'm feral and I change it to combo points. That means no matter what form I'm in, it's going to keep that secondary bar displayed. So even outside of a form, it's going to keep the combo points showing. And when you're in automatic, it's going to automatically change based off of Blizzard settings. When in automatic, this toggle becomes active to keep combo points while shifted. So as long as you have combo points built up, it'll keep showing the combo points when you shift into other forms. And when the combo points are gone, the bar is going to go away. Druid form colors. So you have cat form combo points. You can change the color, cast balance, mana color, primary. You can change the color for energy, astral power, and rage. Yeah, so in automatic, toggle that on. Now when you have combo points, it'll keep them showing. And as soon as they dissipate, the bar will get hidden. Last up, I'm not going to go over each and every spec and resource, but next up is the Brewmaster, and they got stagger. So their stagger shows. And the bar color changes as they take damage. And that's about it for a secondary. Alright, going over the unlock screen as the last thing. You can access it by hitting the unlock screen menu or by right clicking. The unlock screen is going to have lock all CDM frames together, show unlock labels, show the labels on the frames so you know what they are just in case. You can enable or disable snapping, and you can turn on the grid or off. You can increase the grid line size. You can change the background dimming if you want dimming or not. And then frame highlight, you can increase or decrease that. These will toggle if you have a bunch of overlays and you don't want to see them while you're adjusting CDM frames. You can just toggle that off and it'll hide all the overlays. You can toggle off the CDM frames. That should be going away, but it's not. Always something. Something that recently got added is if you left click, it's going to pull up a window so you can do all your anchoring and adjusting inside of the unlock screen. So I currently have this anchored to my custom bars too, to the top, and then you can adjust your offsets. Another thing you can do is you can move the window away, and you can just click and drag it, and then it'll stay separate from the frame as you're adjusting it. So if you're making large adjustments, you're eventually, like, the frame's going to move away from the keys. You can just kind of pull it away, then it'll stay separate. Anything that can be anchored, you'll get a choose anchor. If it can't be anchored, it won't show the choose anchor, and it'll just show you the offsets. when you pick choose anchor, it's going to highlight all the frames that it can anchor to. Most of the popular unit frames are valid anchor points. So as you can see, this is LVUI. So you can anchor to any of these. Cancel it. So let's say I wanted to anchor my bars to custom bars 3. Then you can select where you want it anchored. Let me clear the offsets real quick. So bottom, top, left top, left bottom, right top, right bottom. And like I said, you can pull that away and adjust it how you want without the window moving on you. Or you can just put a number in there if you want to do it that way. You can clear an anchor just by hitting clear. And that restores it. You can use the arrow keys to nudge. And if you use shift and an arrow key, it'll nudge it 10 pixels. And then when lock CDM frames together is on, it's going to move everything that's on the screen together except for bars. Unless your bars are actually anchored to something. So as you see, it all moves together. I mean, everything I have here is anchored together anyway, except for auras. Cancel or restore it. So if I have this off, now I can grab the auras frame and just move it around freely. And if I grab this, it's no longer dragging my auras frame around with it. Whereas when I had it on, it'll drag everything. And that's pretty much the unlock screen.